We're continuing the series of the 613 commandments. Today it's number 3, and we arrived to mitzvah number 40. I believe last week we finished with we shouldn't make any statue, not even for beauty. Not pictures, flat pictures are permitted, but pictures who comes out, which means like 3-dimension pictures, they're already like a statue. Whenever a person has a statue, an image of a person or an animal or anything like that, so if it's not an expensive thing that you can get rid of it, better to get rid of it completely. If it's something you pay a lot of money and you feel bad, you have to break something in it, like the ear or the nose or the hands, whatever it is. If you break it and it's incomplete, then it's not a complete image, because the Torah spoke about images. Once it's 90% of an image, it's not really an image. It's defected. That's the last mitzvah we spoke about. We're continuing mitzvah number 40 as a restriction that when we build the Mizbeach, when there's few different altars from gold, nechoshet, copper, and this is one from stones. When we build an altar from stones, from bricks, we have to make sure not to touch it with any metal. If a metal touch it, then it becomes impure. So the Torah says gazit. Gazit means when you mix the shape of the stones, you have to make sure not to use any metal. Like today, when they make bricks, today they have automatic machines. But in the old days, they used to take a hammer and they banging around and they make the shape of it. That's why it's not so symmetric. Look at the Western wall. Look at the size of the wall. They're not similar. One big, one small, one is very straight, one is a little bit crooked. This is how it was, all handmade. So how do you do it? In the old days, they used to have a worm that called shamir. That's what King Solomon used. That's what we call today laser. You can break with laser. Laser can cut diamonds. Diamond is a very, very strong raw material, stronger than stones, diamond. If you take a brick and heat a little piece of stone, you make a powder out of it. If you take a diamond and you heat it, it's not breaking. It's very, very strong diamond, the strongest material in nature. So what's the point here? The point is that how do they cut it? Obviously, in the old days, they used to have special swords that very, very thin. They used to cut the raw diamonds into pieces, and that's how they make diamonds. But today they use laser. So these worms, you make them a path where to walk. As they're walking, they're cutting the stones. We don't have these worms in the world anymore. I had at one time a whole lecture about nature has changed. Why? Because we see in the Talmud, in the Gemara, hundreds of different descriptions of different subjects, different things, that none of them exist today. The nature of the people changed, the nature of the animals changed, the nature of the fruit, of the vegetables. For instance, when the Torah described the fruit in Eretz Israel, this was huge fruits, very heavy, big pieces, huge grapes, the olives. Each olive was 27 grams, 1 ounce. Today the olives are very small. Take the biggest olive, it's not even half an ounce. An ounce is it's like a pita bread. If you smash it together, that's how big the olive was, like the size of an egg today. An egg was 2 ounces. Today it's not 2 ounces, it's less. Everything in nature changed. The Gemara says the shepherd has to give 1 out of each 10 sheep that he has in his sheep. He has to give 1 out of 10. So if his sheep gave this week birth to 10 new babies, 1 of them he marks, that goes to Bet HaMikdash, to the temple. So the Gemara asks, what happens if the shepherd has, in 2 different places, he has the sheep? He has 5 here and 5 far away. Can he join them together to be able to take 1 of them and donate? Or since he has 5 and 5 or 7 and 7, it's like 2 different places and he doesn't have to give 1 because he never reached 10 in each place. So the answer is If he can see it from where he is, the shepherd that is watching them, he can see both of them. He can look at one group, and at the same time he can look at the other group. Then they join together. That means they consider that they are in one place. So the eyesight decide if it's one place or two different places. If you are able to see it, it's considered in one area. If you're unable to see from one place both groups, then it's not in. So the Gemara say, and what is it? What's that distance? How long a person can see? The calculation of the measurement that the Gemara gave was 18 kilometers, like 12 miles. Like from uptown to downtown of Manhattan, a person was able to see without binoculars, without a telescope. This is how much an average shepherd was able to see 2,000 years ago. Today, a person cannot even see 1 mile. Stand 1 mile away, that's it. You see little dots. What do you see? You see the nature of the people changed. Also, the Gemara said there was one rabbi in a time of emergency, a very old man. He picked up both of his students, one in each hand, and started to run like a young man. You know anyone like this in the world today that can pick up two 20 years old guys, pick them up, one in each hand, and begin to run? An old man. An old man cannot pick up his cane. You know, so you see, or people used to fast from one Shabbos to one Shabbos. 6 days they don't eat anything besides drinking, and then they eat on Shabbos. That's how they used to be. Nobody in the world can do it. People was able to go all week with tefillin on their head and on their hand, even at night. It goes straight all the way until the time they go to sleep. Why? They're able to watch their body, clean body, like no gas, no bathroom or anything like this. They keep themselves all day clean. That's why they can go with the holy tefillin on their hands and on their head. Today, how many people you have like this in the world? I have my guys in my yeshiva in Yerushalayim almost all day, depend how they feel. Almost all day they sit with the two tefillin of the Kabbalists, two little ones, all day, and they learn with tefillin on. And also they learn Kabbalah there and all kinds of things. But it's not easy, because every time you want to go to the bathroom, you have to take the tefillin off, you have to go, and then you have to come back and put it again, etc., etc. It's not so simple. An average person obviously cannot function when he has tefillin on. You drive on the road, you walk in the streets, with what's going on out there, it's impossible. So remember, when we make the stone altar, it has to be done without the use of any metal. That's one of the mitzvot in the Torah. Then, the 41st mitzvah is not when it used to be the big altar. The altar, who knows what was the size of the external altar? There was inside, the gold one was small, very small, like the size of this table, even smaller. But the external one was very big, like the size of this entire room. That was the size of it. 16 meter by 16 meter. 48 feet by 48 feet. And it was very high, you know. So it was double on the size of a person, the height. So how does a person climb to make sacrifices in such a big yard? It's a yard. They had a ramp, the ramp. So this ramp was on a side. A person walked through the ramp, you know, and inside there's a ma'aracha. There is the woods where you light the fire and you sacrifice the animals. So remember that people in those days used to wear kilts. Like the Arabs, until today, the religious Arabs in the primitive countries, they still wear kilts, like 2,000 years ago. These kilts, when obviously a person doesn't have a belt, so when he walks, then if he makes large steps, then there's no modesty. You're going in such holy place, you already, after you make the first step on a ramp, you consider on the altar of God, in the holy temple. When you make big steps, it's no modesty. Why? Because imagine if you put a mirror underneath, then you can see everything. So the Torah says that when a person walks up there, he should not make big steps, very little steps. When his legs almost completely closed. This is mitzvah from the 613. Easy mitzvah. You know it once, you do it all your life. But you don't make big, large steps. Well, obviously, today, if the Torah was given today, nobody hardly wear kilts. People wear pants today. And the old days, only the Kohen was wearing pants. Where do you have the source of something who called pants? One of the 8 items that the Kohen Gadol was wearing was pants, special pants. Women never wore pants. Pants was made only for men only.
But we don't do sacrifice no more.
We don't do sacrifice, but I'm saying if the Torah would be given today in a time there is a temple, and then we have to sacrifice, then obviously, then it wouldn't be so important because anyway people wear pants. However, it's enough that there is 5-10 people in the world that's still wearing kilts, and one of them was a Kohen. That's it. It's enough for the Torah to write such a thing that he won't walk large steps, because otherwise he wouldn't know. What's the problem of making big steps? When Bet HaMikdash will be built, everything goes back to normal. The Torah never changed. The laws are the same laws. I know what's on your mind. I always wonder myself how the world would look in a time like this, because people became very Western, very advanced, everything technology today. How does a Kohen that is a big businessman or a doctor or a lawyer or I don't know what, all of a sudden will be called to serve in the house of God? He's going to have to sacrifice all day. Imagine, it's like taking an important brain surgeon that his last name is Cohen and he's Shomer Shabbos, he's religious. And now they tell him, we need you, you have to come to the temple, you have to work here, and all day he becomes a butcher. You pay him $1 million a month, he doesn't want to be a butcher. But that's obviously a very big merit. A big merit. To be a butcher in the house of God is a different story. But you have to remember one thing. Everything in the world will change, which as far as the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, the materialism, etc., etc. Anybody knows how to turn the air conditioner here? Is any? Huh? Oh no, it's very hot here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, now, then the mitzvah number 42 is mitzvah din eved ivri, an Hebrew slave, a Jewish from birth slave. Why I say Jewish from birth? Because all the slaves eventually are Jewish, all of them. Because every non-Jewish person who become a slave, who sell himself to be a slave, he come to a Jew and say, listen, I want to work for you, can't find a job, I want a place to sleep, I'll do whatever you want. Here, buy me. So he takes him to be a slave. The first condition is he has to convert him. And once this Gentile become a Jew, he become a woman. What does it mean, a woman? Of course, he's still a man. But all the laws that applies to a woman applies to him. Which means he has to keep the laws. He has to keep the laws that applies to women, but he's dismissed from the laws who are relevant to a man. He doesn't have to put tefillin. He doesn't have to go to shul 3 times a day. He doesn't have to sit and learn Torah, etc., etc. Why? Because he has to work. Same thing a woman. Woman, she has to raise kids. She has to take care of the house. She has to do shopping. She has to bake. She has to do so many things. If you give her an obligation to learn 6-7 hours a day in yeshiva, how exactly she's going to manage? She has to breastfeed, she has to change diaper, she has to, there's so many things to do. Now remember, the life of the women today, it's a picnic compared to how it used to be 3,000 years ago. Today, a woman wants to make meal, she goes to the supermarket, or she calls and they deliver everything. 1, 2, 3, she has a kitchen, everything automatic, press here, mixer, this, oven, everything right there. You know how it is to be there? She has to do everything. She has to cut it from the garden. She has to clean it. She has to make fire. She has to bring woods, light the fire. It's so much harder. Life was much harder. They didn't have the perfect conditions that they have today, right? Everything was difficult. No paper towel, no towels like today. Think about life, how it used to be. Very primitive. It was very, very hard. Also, if they have to make meat, what do you think? They go to the butcher and they choose the pieces wrapped nicely? What do you think? They have to slaughter the goat and take off the skin and put salt and get rid of all the blood and then cut it to pieces, get rid of all the bones, get rid of all the skin, all the fat. You know, a very big, serious job, hours. And then wash it again. And to wash it, it wasn't like here you have a sink and a faucet. You have to go all the way to the lake or to a place, and you have to wash the meat, and then bring it back home and cut it to pieces, and then to cook it. Very difficult. That's why people hardly ate meat. They only ate meat on Shabbat or on Yom Tov. And even on Shabbat, not everyone. Why? It's such a big headache. And plus, if you have leftover, there's no refrigerator. So what do they used to do if they have a lot of meat left? They put tons of salt on it. Tons of salt and dry it. Like cold cuts, you know, you dry it. This naknik, it's very dry. You put tons of salt, or on a fish. You go, I think, I used to see in baskets in a store, they have fish that is dry. They doesn't need refrigerator, because they put so much salt, it become like a piece of wood. And then if one day you want to eat it, you wash it from the salt, and all of a sudden it become fresh again. Why? Because the salt doesn't let the germs develop and expand, etc., etc. Okay, so now the next mitzvah, as I started to say, it's the law of the Jewish slave. The Torah says, "Ki tikneh eved ivri." If you bought a Jewish slave, then the Gemara said that if you buy a Jewish slave, you actually bought yourself a master. It's going to run your life. Why? Whatever you eat, he has to eat. You sleep in a good bed, you have to supply him with a good bed. You have to respect him like he's your son. It's very difficult. Well, just because he's my worker, now he lives by me, he eats in my table. I have to buy myself a steak, I have to buy another one for him. And what? Why this guy is my slave? Because he's a thief. He couldn't pay. He stole money. It's not like today when you're a thief in the United States, you get a reward. You come to the lawyer, he filed the papers, bankruptcy, millions of dollars, you don't pay. Every 3 months he changed the name of the corporation. If you see a place anywhere that every 3 months the name is changing and it's the same people working there, the same owner, then you know this guy is a crook. There's no other way. Why? That means he takes a lot of merchandise, he pays first month, he opens an account, 2 or 3 months he doesn't pay, boom, bankruptcy. Change the corporation, start again, find different suppliers, here $100,000 that he owes, he doesn't pay. Then another 3-4 months, boom, another $100,000, change the name of the corporation, only in the United States. But in Israel, they drink your blood with a straw. 20 years later, it's growing, million became 1.5 million, 2 million, 5 million. You're 75 years old walking with your cane, Mr. Moskovich, you owe 5 million shekel. 5 million? Yeah, you used to have 3 shekel debt. Now, after 25 years, it's 5 million shekel. We found out you have a laundry machine. They take your laundry machine in the middle of the night. If you have glasses and you move, they break the glasses in your eyes. What do you think? That's the people who work for the marshal. That's why it's very difficult to steal over there. Not where people don't steal. People steal everywhere they go. But it's much harder because you know there's a price. You give a bound checks to someone, they never leave you alone. You go to court, he's a miserable person, can go to jail for it. Over here, they tell you, no, there's nothing you can do. Just forget about it. It's very difficult. What are you going to do? Find out, you get a judgment. Anyway, it doesn't pay. This is a different world, different culture. So, a Jewish slave, he didn't pay what he owed. He couldn't pay, and they sold him to be a slave, and you bought him. Now you have to educate him to become a human being. So you have to feed him good, you have to treat him good, you cannot beat him up, he has rights. So all these things, plus 6 years he works, and in the 7th year he must go free. Unless, if he comes to you and say, I love you, you're such a great boss, such a great master, I would be by you forever. Keep me here, take him to the door, make him some kind of a scarf here on the ear, ratza et ozno, and then he stay for you and work for you. This is the laws of the Eved Ivri. That's mitzvah number 42. Mitzvah number 43, mitzvat Ye'ud Ama Ivriya. What happens if you have a Jewish female slave? She is a Jewish female slave. Now, if you bought her, right, you bought her, and you want to marry her, you the master. Now remember, she's not garbage. Just because she became a slave, maybe she owed money and she couldn't pay. So right now, you bought her, and you tell her, listen, don't worry, I'm not buying you to wash my laundry and to do my dishes. I buy you because I like you, I want to marry you. I heard you're a good woman, you're righteous, whatever, so I'm going to buy you from, and then you're going to become my wife. So the Torah say like this, אם ראה בעיני אדוניה אשר לא יעדה ואפדה. If you dedicate her for your son, let's say. You have a son, he's 20 years old, and she's 18 years old. You bought her, and you say to your son, you like her? You want to marry her? And so obviously that's possible. What happens if the boy doesn't want her? He doesn't want her. So the Torah says there is two things here. One is you dedicate her for marriage. That's one mitzvah. And second, to release a slave, a Jewish slave, it's also a mitzvah. That's pidyon. It's like pidyon, redeeming him. That's different things. I'll give you an example how it works. Sometimes a father sold his daughter to be a female slave. And then he told the person, I'm selling her to you in one condition. You give me X amount of money, but you marry her, not to wash, to mop the floor. You want her as a wife? Fine, here, give me X amount of, by the Arabs, by the way, until today it's like this. The father can sell, you go to Morocco, to places like this, Saudi Arabia, father has few daughters, one rich guy comes, give him a lot of money, the girl have no right. She must get married. Nobody asks her. They still live like the primitive old days, how it used to be. Problem is, if the entire world is changed, you can see many of the things that we used to do 2,000-3,000 years ago, we don't do anymore. Why? Because it's not realistic, cannot be done. For instance, a father can take his daughter and sell her, but today nobody does it except very primitive countries. Cannot do it in the United States. You can even go to jail for something like this. Today it's against the law to do such a thing. So, וציווה קונה אותה, לישא אותה לאישה ולעשותה גברת. He ordered him to make him his wife and to make her a lady. Right? So who does it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if you already bought a female slave, make sure you marry her, or your son, depending on the age, instead of making her work. That's going to be a mitzvah. So remember now, if you buy a female slave and you will make her a master, which means the wife of your son or your wife, whatever, then it's going to count for you as a mitzvah. Remember this. Then, mitzvah number 44, to redeem the female slave. To redeem. Now you have, there's a Jewish female slave and you are a very rich man and you can go and save her from the embarrassment. So you can go and buy her out. You buy her, she's a free woman. You can give her the money, you can redeem her and tell her, listen, I'm going to redeem you, and you're going to work over the years. You can pay me in 10 years, slowly, you pay me back what I gave. But I want to release you. So that's a mitzvah. It's like releasing a Jew from a prison. You don't have to know him. It's called mitzvat pidyon shvuim. They always collect money to redeem this guy from jail, etc., etc. Like the 3 guys in Japan. The whole world was collecting money from their lawyers and for all kinds of things. It costs fortune to give them legal aid. In Japan, you have to find a lawyer who knows the Japanese laws and speaks the language. It's not simple. You understand? So, for instance, the Torah say, it's מצוות עשה לפדות אותה. כלומר שיסייע האדון הקונה אותה בפדיונה. So now I give you an example. You can come to the master of this girl and tell her, we want you to participate in the money to release her. So he's going to come and say to you, what do you mean? I want her to work for me. And now you're telling me to give you half a price that you can redeem her. I'm going to participate in it. Why? It's mitzvah from the Torah. You understand? So all these things obviously doesn't apply to our generation, but that's why I make it very brief, just for us to understand. Then we have mitzvah number 45. שלא ימכור אמה עברייה הקונה אותה מיד האב. if you bought her from her father, you're not allowed to sell her to another master. If the father sold her to you and you change your mind, you don't want to marry her, and you say, okay, listen, I have a friend, I'm going to sell you to him. You understand? What happened? In that case, you're not allowed, because the Torah say you can either release her or keep her, but you're not allowed to sell her to someone else. Then mitzvah number 46, when a person buy a Jewish female slave, look how many mitzvot applies only for female Jewish slave. How many mitzvot in the Torah? That everyone who buy a female slave and he dedicated her to become a wife, he must give her the same rights like you give to a regular bride. You have a regular bride. Now remember, in the old days, people could marry more than one wife. So let's say you have already 2-3 wives, and you like this female slave, they selling her or whatever, the father. You went and bought her, so now you have an extra wife. Now you may come and say, listen, you don't have the nerve to ask me what the other wives of mine have. Don't forget, I saved you. I bought you, but you don't tell me now, give me this, give me ketubah, give me that, all the things that I give my other wives. So the Torah says, it doesn't matter what she wants, what she doesn't want. I force you, Hashem said, you must give her the same rights like you give to a wife. What are the obligations of a man when he marries a woman? Do you know? From the Torah. 3 main obligations a man have. What is it? Who knows? That if he doesn't do it, he's a sinner every day of his life as long as he's married.
Money, right?
Huh? He have to make sure she have clothing to wear. Not 500 pairs of shoes. No, like today. And 500 different outfits. In the middle of the wedding, she go out to the car to change her outfit. You're laughing, but about a month ago, I was invited to the dinner of the Holocaust Museum. So they invited 400 millionaire or billionaire, I should say, for a very fancy dinner, thousands of dollars a plate. And when I got there, you know, so it was in Columbus Circle, in Mandarin Hotel. So there's a fancy hotel in the 36th floor. They're making a very fancy dinner. It's not like a little yeshiva dinner. They do it in someone's house. This is a very fancy dinner. So why am I telling you this? When I got there, they told me, sir, you have to wait 10 minutes until we open the door. Where am I going to wait? So I'm standing there waiting for them to allow the elevator to go to that floor. So in the meantime, I saw a driver. He comes with a special car. And I saw inside women's dresses inside. So I knew the driver from a different time I met him somewhere. So I came to him and said, oh, you also invited to the event? He said, no, you're kidding. I'm only waiting here. I said, why? You have to come before the event started until it's going to be over to pick them up? You could have come at 11 o'clock. Why you came at 7? So he said, no, I have to bring the clothes. I said, what clothes? He said, you know, they're in the middle of the party, they're going down to change. There's a special car, they bring them. So the lady wore one gown for an hour. Now it's already obsolete, out of style. So she comes down into the car, she changed the clothes. I said, are you serious? He said, well, don't you know how these people are? So he comes with like a Mercedes van, limousine, whatever you want to call it. And they have clothes to change in the middle of the party. That's the fake life we live in today. This you don't have to give your wife, don't worry. 2 outfits a night. But you have to give her at least one nice piece of clothes to wear. At least once. Now, it goes according to how much money you make. If you're a very rich man, you cannot be very stingy. If you don't have, you don't have. She knows who she married. But if you have money and you don't give, it's a sin from the Torah, not to give. Plus, what else you have to give? There are 3 things. Food, you must supply her with food. You cannot tell her, go work and buy yourself food. You have to make sure she gets food. What happens if you don't have money for food? You have a problem. You have to go and knock on doors and collect charity, and with this money, you have to buy your wife food. You cannot tell her, no, I'm embarrassed, you go. You go, your lady, they'll feel bad for you. Why? First of all, it's not modest for ladies to knock on doors, help me out. It's not modest, not safe, especially in the old days. There's no electric on the street. There's all kinds of forest, all kinds of bad people, all kinds of robbers, all kinds of who knows what. You don't let the ladies go when it's very dark outside. Now remember, darkness 2,000 years ago was complete darkness. 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, you come out of your door, you cannot see anything, nothing. You need a torch maybe to see where you go, but 5 steps, you cannot see anything. Very, very risky. That's why nobody was there. That's why life was very simple. People couldn't make the amount of sins like they do today. There's no bars to go, no places, no theaters, everything today because electric, cars, lights, neon lights on the street. So the night became a day. But in the time of the Torah, it's dark, everyone is home. Well, nobody goes out. This is how it was. People get up very early, 4 or 5 in the morning. The roosters become crazy already. Even by me, I hear it every morning, the birds, exactly in dawn, alot hashachar, sometimes 5 minutes after, all the birds, we live in a place there's a lot of trees, all the birds begin to sing. It's amazing. We don't have roosters, but the birds also sing. So in the old days, you have roosters. Everyone had chickens walking in his yard. 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, the alarm, and there's no snooze over there. And the rooster goes, Habibi, you gotta get up. So this is how it was. So a man has an obligation to feed his wife, to supply her with clothing, and who knows what's the third thing? Believe it or not, intimate relation. Intimate relation. You cannot tell your wife, no, I'm not in the mood for you. You're not pretty for me. When I met you, you were thin, and now you're not what you used to be, so I married another woman. I'm not interested in you. Just raise our children, you take care of them. I'll give you money and clothing. I'll give you your maid in our time, and that's it. Don't ask me for any relationship. I'm not interested in you. If he does it, like some men does today, then every second of his life is a sin. Why? Because he's not supplying her with what he signed on a ketubah. He signs on a ketubah that he must give her this as a part of life, because that's a part of marriage. Marriage with no intimate relationship is not marriage. That's roommates. Roommates. Torah doesn't allow roommates, man and a woman. Husband and wife, yes. Man and a woman. Roommates, the Torah doesn't allow. You got it? So if you want your wife to become your roommate and have 2 separate bank accounts, like some of the people who come to me for Shlom Bayit, 5 minutes later I found out the case is closed. Why? They're already running their own bank accounts, different P.O. box, everything different. They have like an agreement. I pay this and this and this, you pay this and this and that, and they live together, and that's it. And they call themselves married. And then they come to the weddings of the family, they put a show for 2 hours. They come like this, like the husband and wife, like Clinton and his wife. They're very loving in front of the camera. But then when the camera shuts off, who knows what they do. I remember all the story with them. So this is what's going on here. The Torah forces you to give it. So now the same thing to a female slave. You bought her, you made her your wife, she has the same rights. Mitzvah number 48, not to beat up your father and mother. You're laughing. Almost in every house here today in America, kids beat up their parents. You're laughing, huh? There's millions of cases like this every week in America, millions, that they beat them up. Now sometimes it's only one smack, sometimes it's a push, but sometimes it's really fist fight. Yeah, you know, I tell you a story that happened to me 10 years ago. One guy came to me, and he says to me, I have to talk to you, but everything that we talk must stay between us. Can I trust you? And I said, yeah, usually, Baruch Hashem, I never share what I hear from one person to anyone. And if I speak about cases like this in a lecture, I make sure to mix it with no names and no locations that nobody can tell who I'm talking about. So he said to me, listen, I'm a son of this person. Right away, when he told me the name of his father, it's one of the most famous people in Israel. And he said, my father, you know who my father is. He owned many, many restaurants and nightclubs in Israel, very famous. So one time I went to one of his restaurants, it was in this place, and we started to have a fight, and then he took a chair and broke it on my head and on my back, to pieces. Imagine how brutal he was. Then I started to scream, and I told him, what kind of father you are that you break a chair on your son's back? Take a chair from the restaurant and hit him, and the chair falls and breaks. So out of anger, he told him, that's exactly the point, I'm not your father. So what did he find out? That his father is some Italian guy in Milan or Rome, I don't remember anymore. You understand what's happening today? The mother goes to Europe on a trip with her friend, she comes back, the father didn't know until very, very late. Many years later he found out. So this guy became very religious, Baruch Hashem. Became religious, got married, have children, all of them, Baruch Hashem, very religious. But it's very common that parents and children going into a violent karate battles every day. It's happened, unfortunately. Now, what happened if a person smacked his father, or if he pinched him and got blood out of him? Is it the same thing or no? So let's see the law. The kids cannot beat up their father or the mother, even if they beat them up very much, a lot. They cannot call 911 2,000 years ago. Today, your son say, Abba, I want the car. No, I'm busy today, we need the car. Abba, be careful. I say, no, listen, son, please, don't. We need the car. Shh. Oh, police, my father just broke my bones. That's what's happening today. You touch me one more time, you know what I'll do. That's what's happening when there's no respect. So, בכל זמן שלא יישאו נפשם לעמיתו, if they didn't hit him with intention to kill him, listen good, I'm reading to you the opinion of God. You have to understand what we're talking here about. We have to adjust our opinions and our understanding to God's understanding. Why? He knows what's better for us more than what we know. He knows the correct way more than what we know. We think we know everything. I have a lot of people tell me, "Lo מקובל עליי, it's not acceptable to me." And I say to you, wow, I didn't know you're a partner of God to the creation, you're running the show. It's not acceptable to me, this mitzvah or that thing or that law. I cannot understand. The Torah says, "Makeh aviv ve'imo mot yumat." Someone who beat up his parents, God forbid, should be put to death with no mercy. ואף על פי שלא איסור הכתוב בפירוש זה, שיאמר אל תכו האבות, אלא כתב המכה. The Torah didn't say, do not beat up your father and mother. It's interesting. Usually the Torah gives warning. Do not do this and this. Do not do this and that. Here, the Torah didn't say, don't beat up your parents. The Torah says someone who beat his parents up, already did, should be put to death. It's different language. Remember, always the Torah tells you should not create fire on Shabbat. And if you will, you should be put to death by the court, and you have no share to the world to come because you violate the covenant between God and the Jewish nation for eternity, which is Shabbat. You violate Shabbat, you don't have share to the world of eternity after you die. You don't have there. Your entry is not permitted. Why? For violating Shabbat. But the language, do not create any fire on Shabbat. And if someone will create fire, the soul will get cut out of my nation. That's the. But here, the Torah didn't say, do not beat up your father and mother, but if you will, this is what's going to happen to you. Right away, the Torah says, a kid that beat up his parents should put to death. And we should know that it's really not, it wasn't necessary in the Torah, this mitzvah. Why? There's no permission to beat up any Jew. He owe you money, he play games with you. Do you have permission now to go beat him up? No, you don't have permission. If he didn't attack you, you don't have permission to come take a stick or with your fist and break his bones. So you're not allowed to hit a Jew. Not only you're not allowed to hit a Jew, if you raised your hand to hit a Jew and you stopped yourself, you feel great later. Ah, it's good, I controlled myself. You already considered a wicked person in the Torah. Just by raising your hand to hit a person, that's it. You're already Rasha. Why? Because the Torah says, Rasha amar Hashem, lama takeh re'echa. And to the wicked Jew, Hashem said, why you going to hit your brother? He didn't hit him yet. Just was raising his hand, making a step to hit him. He didn't touch him yet. Hashem already called him wicked, Rasha. Before he touched him. After he touched him is obviously much worse. So if I'm not allowed to raise my hand to any Jew, and nevertheless not to hit him, do you have to warn me that I'm not allowed to hit my parents? It's a million times needless to say. A stranger that stole my money, I'm not allowed to hit him. Will I be allowed to hit the parents who raised me? So what's going on here? Why the Torah repeated that? It should have been needless to say. Many things we learn from needless to say. No?
Didn't you say that they repeated twice because it's double punishment?
That's a different story. If the same mitzvah repeated twice, then double punishment, yes.
Not to retaliate against the parents? If you beat somebody, you will not be put to death.
How about if
If you beat your father, you put to death.
So I mean, if the father's going to hit you, don't get it back.
No.
How about if it's discipline?
You're allowed to, well, you want to discipline your parents? Why?
No. Of a teacher to a student or a father to a son.
So the answer is like this. When the person hit his parents and blood did not come out, it doesn't have to be put to death. They can kill him, the court. But they can hit him with a whip, but they cannot kill him. But if blood came out, that's it. That's why a son that is a doctor, it has a big question if he's allowed to operate on his father. Let's say he's a very big doctor and his father needs, I don't know, open heart surgery or even root canal. Giving the needle, blood comes out right away in the gums. It's a big question, big questions. According to many opinions, the son cannot be treated by, the father cannot be treated by his own son. Why? It takes blood out of him. But the other opinion is, since the intention here is to cure him, there's no bad intention here, and there's no disrespect, plus the father is requesting it, they permit it. But it's a questionable issue. So to show you that once the blood comes out, it's very bad. Now blood doesn't mean dripping blood. Black and blue, it's already blood. Why? Because when you give a person a fist, you hit him, and then it becomes blue, it's called in Hebrew shetef dam. All the blood goes to that area. If there was no skin, everything would drip out. The skin collects it in. But when the Torah says blood comes out, means from all the veins in the system. Not that it's protected by the skin. That's already considered out already.
We're going to be playing basketball. It happened to my dad once.
No, that's not intentional. That's not intentional. Okay, now, what happened if he hit him after he died? He found out, after the lawyer opened the will, that he's the only son who didn't get anything. So what happened? He ran to him and gave him such a smack and broke his head. And the rabbi said, "You're not ashamed? You beat up your father?" And he said, "What do you care? He's dead anyway. That's my revenge for what he did to me." It's a sin or no? Let's say he was alone with his father in a room, and he hit him and made him bleed after he died. What do you think? Sin or not? It's a sin, but it cannot be put to death. It cannot be put to death. Now, I tell you an interesting story. You know, there used to be a big rabbi. His name was Noda Yehuda, a big Ashkenazi rabbi. He was also a very tall man. And that was like almost 200 years ago, I believe. And what happened, one time there was a wicked Jew that he died, and his funeral was taking place, and they're going in the middle of town holding that dead body, and they're taking him to the cemetery now. So all the family follow the dead body. And then the rabbi, the Rabbi Yehuda, came out, was waiting when the funeral is coming, when the people are coming close. He took a razor, and he came to the dead man's face, and he shaved the little beard that he had, he shaved his face with the razor. And then the people were saying, Rabbi, what are you doing? Started to scream. Wow, you're embarrassing our father, you're embarrassing our, this person. What is this? You're giving him a shave now after he's going on his way to his grave. So the rabbi said, why? I want him to look nice before he goes to the worms to eat him. So they say, are you making fun at him? This is the kind of rabbi you are? So he started to scream in the middle of the funeral. 50 years I was begging him to stop shaving with a razor every day. 50 years, he didn't care. Now when it's permitted to shave with a razor, you're getting angry. Where were you for 50 years that he was shaving with a razor every day and coming out with a woman's face to the market? The only one in town here. That's why I came to do to him what he wanted to do to himself, to have a shaved, clean face. What's the problem? I don't understand. Why are you getting mad? Because at the time of the truth, people wake up. Oh, it's an embarrassment. Why? Oh, every day shaved? Yeah. So what's the problem if I shaved him one more time before he dies? The opposite. Some people make the dead body the Christian, they make them wear all kinds of nice things with a bow tie or something. They make them open. Everyone comes see the bodies, dressed very nice. By us, we put the bodies in linen. We cover the body with a linen bag. There's big things according to Kabbalah that linen protects from all kinds of problems. But everybody realized this person was shaving with a razor every day. Nobody made a beep. Every day, 5 sins from the Torah, and the first thing in the morning, as soon as he open up his eyes, wash his face, whatever, shave. 5 sins from the Torah. 5 steaks of pork for breakfast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one separate sin. The razor touch here where the bones is. 1 sin like eating steak. Next thing went down to this corner, the jaw. 2 sins. Went here to the middle, 3 sins. Went to this side, 4, 5. 5 every day, multiplied by 60 years, you do the math. Each one of them must be paid now. Instead of using a machine or haircut to trim his beard or even a regular machine.
What's the reason for that?
I don't know. Send a letter to Hashem when you be in Yerushalayim. Put by the western wall and ask Hashem why it's so serious to shave with a razor. Why it's so serious to make the altar, the stones without metal. It will be a lot easier. Half of the job. Who wants to do it with the worms until they move? What happens if the worm doesn't want to move? All day, please move, darling. Move, we have to move. We got to build Bet HaMikdash. She's in the mood to relax. You got to push her. The worms. How do you call that worm that has a lot of legs?
Centipede.
Huh?
Centipede.
Centipede? Centipede. This centipede, one of the bugs, like a beetle, came to the centipede and said, I don't know how you're doing it. I have 4 legs or 5, and sometimes I get confused. You have so many legs. How you have coordination that each one of them moves separately? You don't get confused? So after a few hours, the beetle see that the centipede is tilted upside down like this and move like the legs. So what happened to you? He said, since you asked me that question, I cannot walk anymore. I started to think how I'm doing it. When I started to think, I get confused. When I go with what Hashem made me, no confusion. Anyway, so this mitzvah, what happened if a convert, a goy, became a Jew, and now we know that he's biological parents are not his parents anymore. He has no connection to them at all. So, why? Because once he went into the mikveh, another soul merged into his body and he became a new creature, a new creation. It's like a one-day-old person. He could be 40, really today he was born. His life really begins today. He has no connection to his past. His uncles are not his uncle, his mother is not his mother, his children are not his children. Biologically, yes. Spiritually, no connection. So now, Chris became Avram, and his father is John. Now what happened if his father giving him hard time? Since he became a Jew, he gives him hard time, he makes him problem. And Chris, that became Abraham, broke the head of his father John. Does that also fall into this mot yumat or no?
Yes.
You got the point or no?
Yes.
A Jew that beat up his father and made him bleed should be executed in a court. What happened if he beat up his biological non-Jewish father?
Yes.
It's okay.
Okay, for sure it's not. And now the question is, does he get executed or it's just a bad thing that he did? So what's the answer? The answer is like this, listen good. He's not allowed to beat up his father from the Rabbanan. If he does it, it's mitzvah from the sages, from the rabbis. Why? Since he's not his father anymore. So the Chachamim made a decree that he won't beat up his biological father. As a matter of fact, it goes even further. If the biological goy father of this convert died, he's even allowed to say Kaddish for him. And as long as the parents are alive, if they're not fighting against him, and they respect his decision to live like a Jew, then they have to give him respect. Why? Because what people would say, when he was a goy, he respected his father Vini. Tony respected Vini. Now when Tony became Moshe, he doesn't respect Vini anymore. Well, it's better not to be a Jew, better to stay at Vini. Vini respect Tony, no? Now he became Moshe. Moshe doesn't give respect. So what's better, a Jew or to be a goy? Better to be a goy. When he was a goy, he respected. By the way, I should tell you something even more incredible. I'll give you a story. There is Tony, okay? Tony is the father, and the girl, her name is Christine. No, I'll make it better. The father is Itzik, an Israeli guy who came to New York to make money and met Christine. Fell in love with her, and now they had a daughter. 20 years later, this daughter, they call her Jennifer, for the story. Jennifer, okay, the father, his name is Itzik, whatever. Itzik, whatever, now has a daughter, Jennifer. He raised her as a Jew even, or as a Goya, it doesn't matter, maybe not be religious. But this girl, she's 100% non-Jew. There's no half and half. Once the mother is not Jewish, the kids are not Jewish. Doesn't matter that they feel Jewish, or they went to yeshiva, or they were circumcised, or whatever you're going to say, it doesn't change the fact that they have a non-Jewish soul. Non-Jewish soul. They cannot be mashlim minyan. They cannot do any Jewish ceremony. It's not permitted to circumcise them. Not permitted. Sometimes they lie to the moel. He doesn't know the mother is not Jewish. He comes, he's invited. But if somebody knows, he must tell the moel. And actually something like this happened a few years ago, that the father of the Itzik, of that Israeli guy, when the moel was preparing his tools, he came and whispered in his ears, listen, you didn't hear it from me, but this grandson of mine is not Jewish, because the mother is not Jewish. She converted in Reform conversion, which is nothing. So I'm telling you that I don't know what's the law, and the Mohel announced that the baby, he just found out that the baby is yellow. He didn't want to embarrass this Israeli guy. I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we will not be able to perform the circumcision because I just made the last test to the baby and I was sure that yesterday looked good, but today doesn't look so good. I cannot take the risk. We cannot do the brit. Goodbye. Later, the father was found out what was the reason, and he sued him. What was the verdict?
Depends what the court.
Innocent. He got a kiss from the judges for being brave and doing what God said to do. Not allowed. Not allowed. It's not in your hand. Hashem said to circumcise on the 8th day every Jewish male born. Nothing else. No other goyim. If the goy wants to be circumcised, no problem. He can be circumcised in a hospital, in a surgery, by a doctor, by a reform rabbi, no problem. But not a kosher Jew, not allowed to perform a circumcision on anyone that is not Jewish. So what happened here now? So Itzik has this girl Jennifer, that she's his daughter. Itzik is 40 years old, Jennifer is 20. Comes Jennifer to her father Itzik, say, Dad, I just found out that I'm really not Jewish, and it bothers me a lot. I read a book, I watched Torah and Science, now I know the Torah is real, and it bothers me. I want to share to the world to come. I want to be from the chosen nation. Why not? So I'm going to convert, full Orthodox conversion, and I'm going to keep Shabbat, modesty, all the laws. Itzik actually even feel relieved. Why? Because up to now, he knew that he lives in a lie. Oh, now at least I know my daughter will be Jewish. But now there's a problem. She converted. She's not his daughter anymore, because she's a newborn Jew. She's 20, but she's really 1 day old now, after she came out of the mikveh. So according to the Torah, are you sitting good? Hold the chairs that you won't fall. According to the Torah, he can marry her now. God say, Itzik, marry Jennifer, because she's not your daughter. When I say that you marry a non-Jewish woman, the kids are not yours, I meant every word. It's not half and half. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. You can marry her, no problem. It's biological daughter. For all these Jews who marry non-Jewish women to open up their eyes. But the rabbis do not allow. For the same reason. You go and beat up your biological father, so what? You became Jewish, your father John is still a goy. Now you beat him up, you made him bleed. It's not permitted. Why? Torah didn't say, because it's not your father anymore. Torah said not to beat up your parents. And they're not your parents anymore. But the Chachamim say, yes, they are. Why? Because if you beat them up, it makes bad reputation to the religion of God. You understand? That's called Marit Ayin. Bad impression. So, the next mitzvah, number 49, penalties. Financial penalties. What does it mean, financial penalties? Two people have a fight. They beat up each other on the street. Right? And one wounded the other. Broke his arm. Now he has to pay him all kinds of money. He has to pay him for the doctor bills. You have to pay him for the suffering. You have to pay him for the embarrassment. He's an important judge in court, and he comes like this with a cast. And everyone is looking. What happened, judge? It's embarrassing him. Imagine Obama comes. I came to give the speech of my life. It's only a cast. It's not a crime. But it's already embarrassing. Or somebody that has a big bruise or something like this is embarrassed. It comes with sunglasses. Yeah? 2 o'clock at night, the President of the United States have a thick black sunglasses. Doesn't want to see what somebody did to him. It's embarrassing. The more important is the person, the higher the penalty is. For instance, you have to pay him for the days he doesn't work. Now you have to understand that not every person makes the same amount of money. So if you beat up a taxi driver, you have to pay him according to an average price. If you took a person that is very important, it's a different story here. There's all kinds of laws here. That's called the neknasot. The Beit Din have to evaluate how much you have to pay him based on the situation, on the pain. Now I'll give you an example. Who can tell me, let's see if you're clever, how do you evaluate pain compensation? Pain. I gave a person 1 smack, and now I gave him 3 smacks. Or I gave him a light smack, or a very hard one that knocked him down. How do the judges would be able to know, based on the testimonies of the people, how much I have to give him? Who are we to decide that one smack is $100, second smack $200, third smack $400, or each smack it could be more and more because now it makes the damage much more severe. One smack, there's nothing. After 5 minutes, the pain is gone. 2 smacks in the same pain is 1 week pain. 3 smacks in the same place can be 1 year because it's constant pressure on the same area. So you cannot say that each one is 100. So how do you know? How do you know to evaluate? How do you make justice? How do you make justice?
Salary.
Salary, it's another provision in a contract. Embarrassment, salary, doctor bills, each one it's a separate penalty. Now I'm talking tsa'ar, sorrow, suffering. Suffering. How much he suffered?
Depends how many people saw it. You do the same thing to me. That means
No, how many people saw it? It's shame. That's a different payment. Shame is a different payment. I'm talking pain, not suffering. Pain, physical pain. You killed me 1 week, I feel this pain. How much is a week of back pain? How much is a 6 months of pain in the leg? How much is 3 days of headache? How much?
depends on his profession.
The answer is, if you come to a person and say to him, listen, you got 3 smacks, we're now going to give you another 3 more smacks. Same ones. No, what? I don't want any more smacks. Pay us. Pay us, we won't give you. How much you willing to give me now, not to give you another 3 punches in your face? How much? One person say, $50. $50, nothing. Come, bring your face here. Okay, 55. I don't even start less than 1,000. 1,000? No, come, give me the smacks. I just made $17. 34. $51, I'm out of here. One important person pay you even $1 million not to get 3 punches. What's the problem? He makes it in a day. Big deal. You pay you $1 million not to hit him. One person works very hard for his money. He prefers to get physical pain than to lose money, no? I'll suffer some pain a week, but I'm not going to give a week of my work. So it's all depend. So you tell him, how much you pay me not to give you another punch? If he say up to 50, so that's how much he has to give him. For him, a punch is equal to $50, the pain. Every person translates pain to a different value. Same thing, Torah learning. Do you think every Jew gets the same reward for 1 hour of Torah learning? Baloney. Everyone gets a complete different reward. Depends how much the Torah is important in his eyes. If he would not get up from the chair even for $100 an hour, someone offer him a job. Come, Moshe, come here, come, I need you. I'm short of workers. Take a day off from yeshiva. Come work for me for 8 hours and I'll pay you. How much, he said. Right away, when he say how much, you know he's not serious in the learning. Because a real learner say, listen, don't waste my time, goodbye. I won't even pick up the phone, but it's besides the point. But let's say he say, okay, how much you going to pay me? He say, $8 an hour. Are you joking? You want me to close the Gemara for $8 an hour? What do I look like? A shoe shine? Okay, 15. He's thinking, 20. No, 15. Make it 20, I come. He said, okay, 20. He got up. His reward, when he dies, $20 an hour. Hashem will translate it to a spiritual reward based on $20 value. A person and somebody else, he would say, it doesn't matter. Give me even $1,000 an hour, I don't get up. Okay, so 2,000. 2,000 an hour, would you come? You know what? He's thinking, I'm going to work 10 hours, I'm going to make $20,000, I can learn the whole year. He has all these calculations. Okay, 2,000 an hour, I come. His reward, 2,000. Why? For him, 1 hour equal 2,000. For him, 1 hour, it's $20. You understand? Same thing here when a person gives tzedakah. Do you think that it's the same thing? One Jew gave you $1,000 check. and another Jew gave you the same $1,000 check. For one, it counts 100 times bigger than the other. 100 times bigger mitzvah. They both gave the same amount. One makes it in an hour, one makes it in a week. One person gave you an hour of his life, the other one gave you a week of his life. Value, same thing. Here you can make 1,000 CDs, here you can make 1,000 CDs. Same thing. But how much is his reward depends how much he has. That's why all these multi-millionaires that give little tiny checks, few hundred here, few hundred there, it counts almost nothing for them. Almost nothing. Even though it adds to millions of dollars in a period of 50 years that they gave, it's nothing. Because every time they gave, they didn't feel anything. No pain, no regret, no nothing. Well, a person who makes $1 million a week, and he gave $1,000 this week in charity. People who doesn't know how much he makes, they appreciate him. Ooh, he gave $1,000 every week for the last few years. Very generous guy. He made $1 million, he gave $1,000. Does he feel the pain that the $1 million became 999,000? But a person who makes $500 a week and give 100, that's pain. That's a big portion, 20% of his income every week. Not 1%, 0.1% from his income. So you cannot compare them. It's nothing to compare. You understand? That's what it is. Plus, there's many other things here, but I don't have the time to speak about it. I have a whole lecture just about it. So let's now move on. So the Beit Din has to evaluate the penalty. I'll give you another example of a penalty. Penalty is a person who stole. You stole 100, you have to return the 100. Plus, there is an extra 100 you have to pay. Why? Whatever you wanted to do to your friend, now they have to do to you. You stole 100 from Mr. X, now you have to give Mr. X 200. The 100 you stole and an extra. But if you return the stolen money before you got caught, you don't have to give double. Why? You made tshuva. You apologize for the time you had the money. Here, I came to return this $100 to you. A month ago, I stole it for you in the locker room. Oh, really? I didn't even know. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm embarrassed. Here is your 100. You don't pay double. Even if he reports you to the Jewish police, they're not allowed to do anything to you. Not to arrest you, nothing. The punishment of a thief is not jail. This is a non-Jewish invention, to take a thief and put him in jail. Why? In jail he become a murderer. That's not what the Torah wanted. The Torah, if a person constantly steals, you put him in jail because then he's a threat to society. If a person got caught, I don't know, he's living 30 years, first incident. So he pays double. He stole $1 million, he paid $2 million, but he doesn't go to jail. If he doesn't have the money, he becomes a slave. He works until he pays back. But he doesn't go to jail. If there is an epidemic now, every 5 seconds someone steals, like today in our time, almost everyone is a thief. The king can make a decree that the next thief that will get caught will be killed, even for $100, without a trial. He has 2 witnesses, they come to the king, we saw this guy stealing in our own eyes. The king take and chopped his head off. Since when a thief that stole $100 deserves to die? He doesn't. But the king is above the law. The king is above the law. The king can do whatever he wants. It's called Lema'an Yir'u Ve'irau. If the king saw that now it's the time to shake the nation up, to stop stealing, and to show them what will happen to the thieves from now on, then he take a person in front of everyone and kill him. And it's not a sin for the king. You can read in the Rambam. Rambam brings all the laws of the king. Ilchot Melachim over there. Okay, now. Mitzvat Beit Din la'arok b'saif ha'mechuyav. Now, mitzvah number 50, execution to wicked people in a Jewish court. There are 4 different kinds of execution. One, the worst one, is stoning. Stoning a person to death and he has no share to the world to come. The soul gets cut. No eternity. The second worst one is burning. A person put to death by burning and also have no share to the world to come. The third one, well, now we have 2 more. One is a sword and one is choking. Third one, saif. And the fourth one, choking. put him to choke. Today we don't have Bet HaMikdash and we don't have Sanhedrin. We don't have the 71 chief rabbis who sit in one place and judge people. We don't have it. So Hashem judged people. What is it stoning in our days? An accident with a car. Boom! Psh, person died. Fall from a building. Fall from a mountain. Just a few days ago in Vegas there was a show. A guy fell from the 10th floor and crashed to pieces. In a hotel, I don't know what happened. He was trying to go from one room to the other. He fell. A young guy, in his 20s, I think. Fell and died. That's stoning. A few months ago, an Israeli soccer player, poor guy, very famous, one of the biggest soccer players in Israel history, even played in England professional soccer. He's not even 50-something, not even 55. Rode on a motorcycle with a short helmet, not covering the whole face, just up to the ears. You know these helmets? And there was a mirror of a truck. He got hit by the mirror and he fell. He went into a coma for a week and died. This kind of accident, it's stoning. It's stoning. Poor guy. Who gets stoning? Mechalel Shabbat. Who violates Shabbat gets the worst punishment in the Torah. Even a murderer doesn't get this punishment. A murderer in the Torah doesn't get stoning. But Mechalel Shabbos gets stoning, which is the worst punishment exists in history of the Torah of the Jewish nation. The worst punishment. No other punishment ever in history was higher than the punishment of Mechalel Shabbat. You calculate how bad it is. According to the Torah, a Jew is not observing the Sabbath, is not considered a Jew in the eyes of God. Is excluded from the Jewish nation until he makes tshuva. A goy can make tshuva as much as he wants, he still stay a goy. But a Jew that his mother was Jewish, real Jewish, and he wasn't keeping Shabbat, is excluded, is on a ban. But once he regret and start keeping Shabbat, from the first Shabbat he keeps, he's going back to his Jewish status. But up to that moment, he cannot participate in any holy ceremony. Nothing whatsoever. Not permitted. Now I know what you're going to tell me. What do you mean? My uncle is like this, and he's very respectable in a shul. He parked the car 2 blocks away, he come, the rabbi gives him respect. Why? Because these kind of rabbis are fakers. They want money and they want attention and people support them and pay for whatever they do, so they pretend they don't see. A kosher one say the truth to his people even if they kick him after an hour from his job. Why? I know it's difficult, it's a very hard test, especially when all the rich people that maintain the shuls, some of them are not keeping Shabbat, and they give all the money, and fighting with them means you lose your job. And I know rabbis that invite me to speak in their community to say it because they're afraid to say it. So at least they are kosher people. They don't have the guts, but they care that some Jew sitting here and running the show, and in the eyes of God, they're not even Jewish. So let's bring someone outsider. They can hate him as much as they want. He's going back. He's not staying here. So let him do the dirty job and make my life easier. I have one very kosher rabbi, very big kosher rabbi, that invited me to speak in his community about modesty for the ladies. Because the ladies come to shul and they think they go to the beach. And he tried a few times, and right away the rich, wicked people started to make problems. And he realized, another week they kick me out of here, so what's the point? If I'll lose my job, it's going to be a lot worse here. So let me invite someone. Everyone will hate him for the next 20 years, but from now on my job will be a lot easier. So I'm the address. Don't hesitate, invite me, I don't care. You can throw tomatoes at me. These tomatoes will become diamonds in Olam Haba. Don't worry. One time I came to a shul here, not far from here, and I spoke to the young crowd not to come to shul with a car on Shabbat. As I'm talking, this is a unique community that people coming from all over New York, because it's their main shul of that nationality. So as I speak not to come, I see the president of the shul and the rabbi of that shul standing all the way in the end by the door. Oh, Sam! And I go harder and harder. So then, they jumped into the lecture. We're very sorry, Rabbi, we have to talk to you, it's very important. Give us a minute, please. They took me out in the middle of the lecture. In the middle of the lecture, they took me out. What are you doing? You know how many months it took us to convince them to finally come to shul with a car and this? They're not going to come. I said, what, are you convincing Jews to come to the shul with a car on Shabbat? What about the Torah? Torah never gave permission. No, but you don't understand. We need them. Our whole nationality is spread all over. We want them to keep our tradition. So please go and tell them that you didn't mean it. So I said, so what? Are you giving them permission against what God say? I want to understand. He said, no, we don't tell them clearly come with a car. But we pretend we don't see. I got up on the stage and I went 10 times harder. Don't listen to them. They're not going to save you from your trial. You don't have to come to shul. Stay pray at home. Or go to an Ashkenazi shul in your area. Wherever you are, Brooklyn, Long Island, no problem. It's a big mitzvah. And of course, after that they kicked me out of there, and until today, for many years, they speak a lot of Lashon Hara against me. Why? The truth hurts, what can we do? How people have the guts to stand in front of a crowd and teach them something, knowing it's the opposite of what God said. This is what I don't understand. You don't want, don't talk. So I cannot talk, I'm sick, I cannot talk today, goodbye, I'll see you next week. But to come and say, yeah, come, it's okay, no problem, this, that, everything fine. Why? It's good, they give money, these rich people come with their fancy cars on Shabbat, they are the ones in the end who give the money. You know, I tell you something, a judge in a Jewish court that judge a fair judgment between Reuven and Shimon. He say Reuven is right. Shimon has to pay Reuven $10,000 for the damage he made him. After a month, Reuven, who got the money, he was very impressed by how professional is this judge, and he know that this judge has a shul or yeshiva, so he sent him $1,000 donation. Dear Rabbi, I'm very impressed how professional you are and honest in a court. So I want to be a part of your organization. He sent him $1,000 donation. Is this rabbi allowed to accept it or no? Or it's a bribe? The trial is over. That's it. He already, when the time of the trial, he did not receive any bribe. He said the truth, judgment, the truth. But a month later, the person who got the money, not his appreciation that you gave me the money. I deserve the money, with or without you. As appreciation to how great you are in your job, how holy you are, how you understand the law and whatever. Or you have yeshiva, I know you need help, I send you a donation. It's not allowed to accept. Why?
Because if you want to accept it, if he keeps saying that you're losing the money, he was behaving him, not because he sent them the check. Other than that, he wants to send them.
No, that's no problem. When people give you a donation, you don't have to ask them what's the reason they want to give you the money. Because they love your beautiful eyes, or they love your yeshiva, or they like the chandeliers over there. Why do I care now why they want to give money? They come to my yeshiva, one person like the way they learn Torah, another fool like the chandelier. I want to donate, I like this lamp here. I want to participate. One person give for the food. So it's not my problem that the person doesn't have an understanding what Torah is. The answer is because if later donations will be permitted, in a subconscious of every judge, he always would rule to the favor of the rich people. Why? The poor can never send me any gift in the future. If I have a chance to receive something, it's from this guy. I better make him win. Why? That guy will never send me anything. Nobody promised anything. But if I have a chance to get, it's from this guy. I better make him win. So in later cases, it will make the judge not objective. Why? Automatically, he prefers that the rich people will always win, that will make him very important in the eyes of the rich people. They like him, and they'll give him a lot of money. And that's what happened to many speakers, not only judges. The speaker wants the crowd to love them. They want to be popular. They think this is Hollywood here, or stand-up comedy. You have to sell a lot of records, I don't know what. They don't understand that your job is to do what Hashem told you to do. If you change the Torah because you get benefits from it, that's a very, very big sin. It's fall into the worst category of Mahti Arabim. Influence the public to do the wrong things against Hashem. By teaching them the wrong laws because it's convenient for you. No, that's not important. I allow you, don't worry. I one time saw, I never believed in my whole life that I would see such a thing. There was a meeting between few people. One of them was a rabbi and few people from the community. And they were blaming him for something, and he was defending himself. And then sunset was around 7 something. It already was 8 something. Complete darkness outside. And they didn't daven mincha. So it's almost an hour after the time. So one of them, after an hour that he was eating his heart, he told him, Rabbi, mincha. You don't need mincha. I'm dismissing you from mincha. This is more important right now. Why? It's his position. He gets fired maybe. He's worried about his job. All of a sudden, 6 people don't need to pray mincha. That's a crook. That's a rasha. That's not. Are you an owner of the Torah? Because right now it's to your benefits or against you. It doesn't work that way. All right, let's move on. Time is running out. We have 2 more minutes. Let's do one last mitzvah. So there are 4 different kinds of execution. One of them is saif, a sword. And this is what the Torah says. This called hereg. Every time you hear, we have skila, srefa, hereg, vechenek. So that's the 3rd one, hereg. Chenek is the last one, choking. This consider an easy way of killing people, of execution. Easy. The 2, the stoning and burning, it's very hard one. This consider mitakala. But chenek, choking, it's even lighter than a sword. So remember, stoning the worst, burning, and then sword, and then choking. Which means choking is not as bad as the other 3. So it says like this. The Torah says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to clean the wicked people from among his nation. And many of the sins in the Torah, right? Most of the sins in the Torah, it's not execution. The vast majority of the mitzvot. But there are few that the punishment is very severe. What are the worst sins in the Torah? Who knows? The worst sins. One is making the public make sins. Influence the public, come to a mixed party, you're DJ, you're bringing them, being, showing bad films, all kinds of, or making bad films, and millions of people watch it and have dirty thoughts, etc. So that's a very big sin, because you have to pay for each one of the people who were influenced by your work, and it's very, very difficult. Then, as I said, Mechalel Shabbos, eating chametz and Pesach, worshipping idols, murder, also. So eating on Yom Kippur, not fasting, that's not for me Yom Kippur. These are the extra heavy sins of the Torah, extra heavy, or God forbid cursing Hashem, or having all kinds of relation violations, married woman with your aunt, adultery in a family, all kinds of things. A married woman, it's from all the sex crimes is the worst sin. A person went with a woman of another man. It's almost impossible to correct this sin in a lifetime. Almost impossible, very difficult. Homosexuality, very, very big sin. This is the time to tell you that you have to prepare for a big tragedy that will happen in this place very soon. Because every time all these crazy, filthy, dirty people who wants to marry the same-sex marriage, every time they achieve something, a tragedy will happen, like in San Francisco, in other places. And now they just won in a Congress something, that they can get married. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not be silent about it. I don't know what's going to be, earthquake, floods, who knows what. But definitely, we're all going to pay the price. Everyone who lives here. When the tragedy happens, it happens. Up to now, this place is usually getting saved from thousands of Torah learners that are here in New York. After Israel, the second place in the world that have more Torah learners in the whole world is New York. You have Israel altogether as a whole country, and then second place New York. You have thousands of people learns constantly Torah all the time here, and they save this place for natural disasters. If you know the history of New York, there's hardly any natural disasters compared to other parts of the United States. Almost every state has horrible disasters. But here, in relation to other places, it's much safer place here. But I don't think, this is my opinion, because I know how the Torah is. Every time there are such kind of massive sins in public, the price is very big, very big. We'll see what's going to happen. Anyway, so the Torah says, the kind of sinners that the Torah says, Nakomi, Nakem, there are different verses in the Torah, are falling into this category of a sword. Okay, and that's it. So we're done for today. We did, Mizrachi Hashem, we got to 50. Only 10 mitzvot we did today. But next week, we are talking about all kinds of financial damages. People make fire and the fire burned the neighbor. Someone made a hole in the middle of the street and a horse fell in. Or your ox made damage to someone. Very interesting financial topics coming next week, Bezrat Hashem. I know you told me before this 4th of July weekend next week. I don't know, is it supposed to affect Jews? What, they're going away? What's the problem? Huh? Fireworks? Okay, so you decide if you want fireworks or you want to hear the words of Hashem. You decide. And we'll see next Monday what you chose. Thank you very much.